So you might be wondering how to sing with more power so that you can sing those powerful diva songs without any straining or hoarseness in your voice. Well, in this episode, I've got you covered with a better way to sing with power. And when you stop doing what most beginner singers do in order to get that power in their singing, then a whole new way of singing will open up for you. So let's dive into it. Hi, my name is Maggie. I'm the founder of the Singing Insiders, in which I'm helping passionate singers just like yourself become the best versions of themselves through singing. And in these episodes, you're gonna get practical tools, techniques, exercises, and insights to help you up-level your singing skills. So let's look at what you need to stop doing in order to sing with more power easily. And in total, there are 3 main things that you need to stop doing to really change the way you sing. Number 1 is to stop pushing your voice. See, many beginner singers, they tend to relate power with it needs to take a lot of effort. And effort means I'm pushing my voice. Now, that's not always the most efficient way to go about it, especially if you want to have power. Many beginner singers, they tend to think that they need to activate their diaphragmatic breathing even more, which is partially true. Now, what we need with that diaphragmatic breath is also chord closure. And that's where many beginner singers tend to fall into the struggle, because many beginner singers, they're going to add more pushing to their voice, and that will allow more breath to flow. But without the chord closure, it's just breath that we're throwing out in the open air. We don't want to have that. So it kind of sounds like this. So for example, say that I'm singing Let It Be by the Beatles. Let it be, let it be. What many beginner singers do is push their voice. So they're going to do let it be, and really strain and put a lot of pressure on their vocal cords. Now, instead, what we want to do, because that's where the breath is just flowing without any purpose, what we want to do is focus on vocal cord closure. And there's many different techniques that can help you with vocal cord closure. There's obviously twang, there's cry, there's bite. I mean, there's so many ways to make sure that your vocal cords come together. For example, let it be, let it be. It's a very different sound than the pushing, let it be, where I'm straining my voice. So that's the first one. Stop pushing your voice. Stop pushing more breath when you're trying to sing with more volume. Instead, focus on your diaphragmatic breathing and vocal cord closure. All right, that brings us to number 2. Number 2 is to stop singing with high volume the whole way through a song. So I used to work with someone, and the first time this singer came in to work with me, he was singing at the top of his lungs for a whole song. And after singing that song 3 or 4 times, he was exhausted. And I mean, his voice was exhausted. You could hear the tension, you could hear the hoarseness. And obviously, that's not the results that we want. So oftentimes, many beginner singers, they tend to play with volume and go either all the way loud or none of loudness. So all the way still, right? So the key here is to use variation, dynamic variation. Because if we're thinking of building up to something, that will have way more impact than singing a song at 100% loudness all the way through. That is what gives your listener goosebumps. If you can build up from 10% to 40% and then to 80%, back to 60%, and then you're going into the climax of the song with 100% volume, that is the art of singing. And you're playing with dynamics at that point. You're telling a story. And that will also help your voice, because your voice will not be tired at the end, right? If you are, you could compare it as a metaphor to your energy level in your body. Imagine that you're going on a hike. And, let's do that. Imagine that you're going to run a marathon. Now, I've never ran a marathon, so I wouldn't be the expert in here, but I would imagine that when the start is given, that you can begin to run, you're not going to sprint for the first hour. You're going to run at a comfortable pace, right? And then maybe by the end of the marathon, that's where your sprint will happen, because you have collected your energy throughout the race so that you can put it in at the end. And the same thing happens when we're singing. The same thing happens when we're trying to play with that volume. We don't want to sing at a 100% high volume all the way through. We want to make a balance, and that will help with your storytelling, with the emotion that you can put in a song. That will also help to take your listener on a journey, and it will help you to not strain your voice and to really have a balanced vocal technique throughout. Now, if this was helpful and interesting so far, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and hit the like button right beneath this video. But let's keep going, because my most important tip really is actually coming up. So let's bring this home and finish. The first one was to stop pushing your voice, okay? And stop pushing more breath when singing. Instead, we wanted to have vocal closure. Number 2 was to stop to sing loudly all the way through, 100% through this whole song. We want to play, we want to add dynamic variation. Number 3, and this is the most important one, is to stop singing in just one register. So many beginner singers, they tend to either sing in chest voice or head voice. Chest voice, let it be, and then we're pushing again. Or they tend to stay in head voice, let it be, and that's where, when we're trying to add more volume, actually more breath gets through. We don't want to have that either. What we want to have is a beautiful blend of those two worlds, and that is called mixed voice. Mixed voice is the combination of your chest voice register, which is responsible for power, and your head voice register, which is responsible for range, height, and flexibility. This is the only way to sing powerful high notes without any tension, without any hoarseness. So as you can see, it's a matter of using the right vocal techniques in order to experience that power and volume when singing. And mastering your mixed voice really is the only way to get there. It's the most important one, because if you don't have that, then there's no point in us working on vocal closure, which was number 1, and no point in us working on dynamics, which was number 2. It all starts with mixed voice. Now, how you develop and master and train your mixed voice? Well, I have a video for you that explains you exactly what to do in order to train that mixed voice so that you can expand your range and experience that vocal freedom when singing. So I've queued that up for you right here, and I've linked to it in the description down below. So I'm inviting you to go click that link, and I'll see you in that next video so that we can keep this conversation going and get you to that next level. So thank you so much for having been here. I'll see you in that next episode, and if not, I'll see you next week here. Bye. See you then.